Okay, guys, even though I've been so tongue-tied, I'm going to try to read Bambi to you guys, and it's a Felix Salten book. Something sweet. And I do have a friend I call Bambi, and she's just sweet as ever. So, Jen, I love you. So anyway, we're going to try this one, guys. So bear with us. I have Miss Sophie and Miss Charlotte. And we are getting started here. Hidden in... Oh, dog's moving. I have a puppy sleeping at the foot of... She's right here. So she's moving my blankets. Okay. And we're prepared. Just in case. I got another bottle made. So, you ready, Sophie? Yeah, she's ready. Charlotte's ready. She looks like she's getting sleepy already. Okay, guys, Bambi. Hidden in the thickest deep in the woods, a doe washed her newborn fawn. It was a beautiful day. There was hardly any breeze to be felt, and the spring sun shone warmly through the thickest foliage onto the mossy forest floor. The little fawn stood close to his mother on thin, wobbly legs. "What a handsome young prince," sang the magpie cheerfully, looking down through their perch tree. "Such a little gentleman," the other animals in the woods had to agree. The fawn couldn't yet understand their conversation. He listened only to his mother, who whispered softly, "Bambi, my dear little Bambi." Soon Bambi was running nimbly through the woods beside his mother. He stretched his neck, looking around curiously. How much there was to discover in the woods. Bambi loved the humming of the bees and the songs of the birds. A butterfly lit on his nose. It tickled. Bambi was so happy. "Mama, who do the woods belong to?" he asked. "To us, dear," his mother replied, and laughed. Suddenly, Bambi heard a ho, ho, or hoo, hoo, coming from the tree. A little fawn was startled. "Did I scare you?" Bambi looked up. A sassy young owl was proudly fluffing his feathers. Bambi nodded. The little owl was thrilled that he had finally managed to frighten someone. "You don't need to be afraid," Bambi's mother nudged him with her nose. "That little owl can't hurt you." Bambi leaped out of the thicket into the bright green meadow. "Stay out of the meadow," his mother called his mother. "You must stay close to me until you get bigger." The days got longer and warmer in the afternoons. The deer napped in the hollow. But Bambi didn't want to sleep. Sleeping was too boring. "Mama, let's go into the meadow," he begged. Bambi's mother shook her head. "Absolutely not. Not in daylight. That would be too dangerous." But the night fell. Bambi was allowed to follow his mother into the meadow at last. "Look," said his mother. "There is Aunt Anna with her children, Faline and Gobo." Bambi was excited. He could leap around the meadow with the two young deer in his heart's content. And the new friends had much to talk about. "Can you tell me what danger is?" Bambi asked them. "Danger is what you have to run away from," Faline answered, and bounded off jauntily. Then it was time to return home. On the way, they suddenly saw two big deer. The deer looked much like Bambi's mother, Aunt Anna, but the other heads, they were more beautiful crowns. "Who are they?" asked Bambi receivingly. "And what are they wearing on their heads?" "Those are stags," explained Aunt Anna solemnly. "They are your father's. When you are big, you will wear a crown like that too." added Bambi's mother, and she nudged him lovingly with her nose. Time passed and Bambi was not a little fawn anymore. Over the weeks, she had grown big and strong. He still stayed close to his mother. She taught him everything that deer needed to know. But one day, his mother was gone unexpectedly. Bambi looked all around. "Mama, where are you?" he called fearfully. There was no answer. Bambi became more and more desperate. "Mama," he cried loudly as he could. Then he heard the deepest voice. "What is the matter? Can't you be left alone?" One of the fathers was standing before Bambi and looked at him sternly. Bambi felt ashamed and lowered his eyes. When he looked up again, the old prince was gone. From that moment on, Bambi knew he had to learn to be left alone. He was no longer as fearful as he had once been. The first snowflakes began to fall in search of fresh foliage to eat became more and more difficult. At night, Bambi nestled up close to his mother to keep from freezing. One morning, Bambi and his mother came upon several other deer. Everyone was watching a young stag, Rono, intently. He was limping a little. "What's wrong with your leg?" one of the deer wanted to know. Rono told this frightening story. "I was walking through the woods when suddenly I saw him." "Who did you see?" asked Bambi. "A hunter," answered Rono. "He shot me and wounded my leg. Luckily, I was able to run away, but only just barely." "We must always run away from men," said Felix. No one disagreed. The days grew colder and colder. The air was clear and icy. If only spring would arrive, Bambi's mother sighed. There was hardly any food left for the deer. Suddenly, several members of the herd felt nervous, and the cows cried out in a shrill warning. "We must flee," called one of the deer in his distance as he heard a bang and as a loud thunder. "Run, my son," ordered Bambi's mother. "Run as fast as you can, and don't look back. You mustn't worry about me." Bambi saw a man tramping through the bushes. "Run!" screamed his mother again. Bambi heard another bang, filled with panic. He ran as fast as his legs would carry him. Bambi ran and ran until the night had fallen. Finally, he came upon the other deer. "Have you seen my mama?" he asked, exhausted. Aunt Anna shook her head sadly. Bambi knew at that moment that he would never see his mother again. If you hear that little sound, that's my dog snoring, guys. She's very awkward, but adorable. Okay. At last, spring arrived. Bambi still missed his mother terribly, but it gave him some comfort that Nutella, the older doe, took care of him. He felt braver and stronger with each passing day. "I must tell you," chattered Squirrel one day as Bambi passed him in the woods, "you already have a beautiful crown on your head." "True, true," agreed Magpie. "Such handsome antlers. One doesn't see antlers like those every day." On a warm day in early summer, Bambi was wandering alone through the woods. "Hello, Bambi," called a familiar voice. Bambi turned around. "Felix!" He looked at her full of joy and wonder. Felix was no longer a little deer, and he had known as a child. She had grown up. Felix had become a doe. The two older deer talked for a long time. Bambi nudged her tenderly. "Will you be my friend and stay with me forever?" he asked Feline. She nodded for them a moment, and the two were nearly inseparable. But sometimes Bambi liked to go along with walks through the woods. He thought for a long time of the proud stag who was his father. He wanted to meet him, but Bambi had no idea where he lived. He wandered aimlessly through the trees. "Hoo, hoo!" He heard a call from a low branch. The owl. "I didn't scare you, did I?" he asked wishfully. Bambi looked up at him hopefully. "Please, can you tell me where I can find the old prince?" Bambi asked. "Surely you must know where he is." "Yes, but it's a secret," the owl declared with an air of importance. "I can tell you, but only if you promise not to tell anyone else." The little owl whispered something into Bambi's ear. "Thank you," said Bambi. Then he started on his way. Bambi searched where the little owl had told him, but the old stag was nowhere to be found. One morning Bambi was standing in a clearing, sniffing the cooling air. Suddenly he heard a terrible bang, like thunder. This time it was very near. Bambi felt a sharp pain, almost fell to the ground. He ran fast as he could, just as he had before when he had seen his mother for the very last time. Bambi was out of breath, and his leg hurt terribly. He fell to the forest floor exhausted. He heard a familiar voice. "Get up, Bambi. You have to get yourself to a safe place quickly." Bambi raised his head and saw the old prince. He led Bambi to a protected cave and watched over him until Bambi was well again, felt strong enough to leave the cave. The old prince disappeared. Bambi never saw him again. By the time summer came again, Bambi was in good health. He was happy to be back together with all his friends, the magpie, the squirrel, and the sassy little owl. Bambi knew he was now the biggest and strongest of the stags. He was standing proudly in the clearing one day and heard a pretty little voice call, "Mama, where are you?" Before him stood two fawns. Bambi looked at them sternly. "Can't you be left alone?" he asked. The little deer looked up at him, startled, but they